I'm not sure the market's fully absorbed it, although, you could also argue maybe the market has absorbed it because the two sound money assets, gold and Bitcoin, are both at record highs or, very close to. Gold's backing off a bit today.
Hey guys, welcome back to Everyday Finance. In this video, Larry Lepard discusses the crypto, according to Larry Lepard. Perhaps one could argue that the market has incorporated it, considering the presence of two sound money assets. Gold and Bitcoin and gold are currently experiencing significant price fluctuations. While Bitcoin is reaching record highs, gold has seen a slight decline after a period of stability, within a range of approximately $2,100 to $2,050. The price reached $2,100 and it shattered. It seems that the wider world is finally waking up to the issues that many of us have been discussing in the past couple of weeks. Larry Lepard believes that this awakening is quite decisive. Many experts in this field have been discussing a particular issue for quite some time now. It revolves around the existence of a significant sovereign debt problem. This problem has been a topic of concern and analysis. It is highly probable that the government solution will involve monetizing it, which is concerning for Larry Lepard. Mentioned that's the current climate we're in, and he can envision the sky being the limit for both of these assets. He anticipates that they will increase in value within a month and potentially experience even greater gains in 6 months, and lots of things Larry Lepard discussed, so please watch the video to end and share this video and subscribe our channel Everyday Finance. Thanks.
The big picture is the things that we've been warning about for some time now, many of us for years really, but more recently, the last few years, are all starting to kind of come together. $1 trillion of debt added in 100 days, and record deficits, no spending restraint by Congress, the approval of the ETF and the multiplier impact that's had on the price of Bitcoin. And as we know, it's kind of been a relentless uptrend, strong and up to the right since 50,000 when the ETF was approved. And there's another thing, probably a lot of people didn't focus on it, but I did, and it's a big deal. There was a letter from the Industry Swaps and Dealers Association to the Federal Reserve saying, hey, you know what, we really think you ought to throw away this SLR, this limit that you place on the banks and their ability to buy Treasury debt. And of course, the reason for that is that there's a lot of Treasury debt to be sold and the number of buyers are slowly but surely shrinking. And if you really read through the lines on that carefully, and it's a lot of inside baseball and monetary plumbing, it's more or less kind of QE infinity, or it'll give the banks the ability to just in an unlimited way monetize the debt. And put it on their balance sheet because they don't have to count it as a reserve. And so they can more or less print money to buy the government debt. So it hasn't been approved yet. It was a letter, but it's clearly those kinds of things. They start with a letter and then they come with a Federal Reserve proclamation that this is what we're going to do. And they did it in 2020. And they did it in 2020 because at that point in time, they needed to do it because they were having a hard time selling the debt then as well. So to me, it's a big deal. And I'm not sure the market's fully absorbed it, although you could also argue maybe the market has absorbed it because the two sound money assets, gold and Bitcoin, are both at record highs or, very close to. Gold's backing off a bit today, but gold had been constrained within a range of kind of a $2,100 top, $2,050, $2,100 top, and it broke through that rather decisively in the last couple of weeks. So, I think the wider world is awakening to the issues that many of us in this area have been talking about for some time, and that is that we have a sovereign debt problem, and that the likelihood is that the solution of the government will be to monetize it, and that goes to the letter I just referred to. So that's kind of the climate we're in, and I kind of see the sky as the limit for both of these assets. I expect they'll be higher in a month, and I expect they'll be much higher in 6 months. So.
According to Larry Lepard, it's important to note that the issues we've been cautioning about have been on our radar for quite some time. In fact, many of us have been sounding the alarm for years. However, there is more to consider. In recent years, there has been a convergence of events with a significant amount of money involved. With a staggering amount of debt accumulated in just 100 days and an alarming record of deficits, it is evident that there has been minimal restraint on spending. Congress has placed restrictions on the approval of the ETF, which has had a significant multiplier impact. The price of Bitcoin has been on a relentless uptrend, showing strength and upward movement. Well, ever since the approval of the ETF back in 50,000, there have been some notable developments to take note of. One more aspect to consider, perhaps many individuals overlooked it, but Larry Lepard paid close attention to a significant development: the emergence of a letter, reaching out to various organizations from the Industry Swaps and Dealers Association to the Federal Reserve to express their thoughts. It may be worth reconsidering the current restrictions placed on banks' purchasing power, as they could potentially hinder their financial capabilities. Similar to a financial analyst, it's worth noting that the amount of Treasury debt available for sale is quite substantial, while the pool of potential buyers is gradually decreasing. Let's back to Larry Lepard interview.
So I try and avoid the politics a lot, and I'm not a fan of either side, blue or red. I lean libertarian, and therefore I probably lean, towards RFK Jr. But it's interesting to me, like the Trump. I mean, Vivek must have gotten to Trump a little bit, right? Because he no longer hates Bitcoin. It's not a scam or a fraud anymore. The other thing I think is going on is it's becoming a big enough of a voting bloc that who wants to piss us all off, right? I mean, politicians are nothing if not self-interested and worried about votes. And now that you've got an ETF, you've got a lot more people in the country who own some. And so, if you're a politician, you start saying, hey, this Bitcoin thing's bad, et cetera, et cetera. Well, shoot, maybe I'm not going to vote for you. So I think that's all it is with Trump, in my opinion. I don't think he understands what it is. I think it's just pure calculated self-interest on his part. Biden did something recently that I'm pretty sure it's Warren, not Biden, but it just annoys the shit out of me, this whole notion that they're going to try and tax the miners 30% on their energy consumption. I mean, that would just kill the mining. Right. I don't think it'll ever get through, and it would just kill the Bitcoin mining, industry in the United States.
It's going to send it
would all go overseas instantly. Yeah, I mean, tons of jobs and economic activity and et cetera would all be lost. I think it's a non-starter. I don't think there's any way they'll get that through. Yeah. But look, it strikes me that over time, the politics are going to reflect the on the ground conditions, and the on the ground conditions are going to be Bitcoiners are doing well, and Bitcoiners are a big voting bloc, and Bitcoiners are going to be wealthy when these coins are worth $1 million a coin. And I could easily see, I have the sense that Saylor kind of sees himself as a really unique individual with a higher purpose. I think he's going to be a huge historical figure. And it wouldn't surprise me at all to see him run for president in 8 years or 12 years. And I also think he's probably going to be the richest man in the world. And knowing what I know about him, I actually think that would be an incredibly good thing for the United States, because I think he's a very strategic thinker. And I actually think he's a kind and generous human being who would actually do a pretty good job as the president of this country, and maybe restructuring, kind of the broken politics that we have. I mean, we clearly need a massive political restructuring. We need term limits. We need money out of politics. We need rank order voting. There are a ton of solutions. I mean, the founding fathers had a great idea, and the politicians have managed to kind of stray quite away from that idea. We need to get back to the basics. So, yeah, that's a great question. Well, property is taxed, but it's generally when it's physical property, and it's real estate taxes, and it's the local authorities that want, that provide services for the property that justify the taxation. They haven't gotten to the point where they tax, investment property until such time as it's a realized gain. And that would be a big bridge to cross, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, they'll be looking, I remember there was some talk. I mean, Bernie Sanders and others were talking about trying to tax, billionaires just on unrealized gains or on their net wealth. And, look, a political system which is failing, which needs money, is going to, they're going to flail around and try and get money wherever they can. And so I think it's certainly one of the risks with Bitcoin. I will say one thing. I respect Michael a lot, and I think he's right that it is property. But it actually could, over time, it could become more than that. I'm not sure if he believes this or not, but I actually believe it will ultimately become the base layer of money, because it will be a form of money that's the characteristics of which are so superior to the alternative, which is the dollar. The dollar will fade into existence, and we'll have sats will be the new basis of the monetary system. But admittedly, that could be many, many years out, and I might be getting ahead of myself.
What Larry Lepard believes is happening is that it is becoming a significant voting bloc that you are aware of. Seems to have a desire to irritate everyone, don't they? Well, you know, politicians are quite something, aren't they? Concerned about personal gain and focused on popularity. Now that you have an ETF, you're aware of the increased number of individuals involved. If you're a politician, you might be quick to criticize Bitcoin and its potential drawbacks. However, it's important to consider the perspective of those who have a stake in this digital currency. Oh no, perhaps Larry won't be casting his vote in your favor. From his perspective, it seems that Trump lacks a comprehensive understanding of the situation. So, what exactly is it? He believes it's purely a matter of calculated self-interest on his part. Biden recently took an action that it's quite frustrating to see this notion of taxing miners at a 30% rate. Larry pretty sure it's Warren, not Biden, who supports this, but it really annoys me. Their energy consumption is extremely concerning. It has the potential to greatly impact and hinder Bitcoin mining. If you learned something from this video, then please like this video and subscribe our channel Everyday Finance, and we will meet in next video. Thanks.